Welcome, everyone. I'm Ariel, and it's a brutally cold day today outside in New York City. It's about 22 degrees Fahrenheit, and yesterday it was about 58 degrees Fahrenheit. It looks like spring came yesterday, but nope, it pulled out as fast as it came. So today I am inside, avoiding the dreadfully cold weather and doing a Q&A with all of you. You can feel free to ask me anything you would like in this Q&A. If you don't know who I am, I've been making videos about cities around the world for 8 years. I've been exploring cities all around the world. And I'm actually working on a podcast that is dubbed The Perfect City. And it's coming up soon. It'll be coming up probably around May, around there. So stay tuned. I'm very excited. And I'm going to have a very, very interesting co host for this podcast. You will find about her very soon. And it's about urbanism. And it's about how can we build the perfect city, why some cities are amazing and why some others are not, and what really makes a great city. That is the main gist of the podcast. That'll be coming out in May, and I was working on that earlier today. I'm very excited. But feel free to ask me anything today. I'm going to open up the floor, anything related to travel, history, New York City, how I make my videos. Feel free to ask me anything. I'm going to stick around for an hour for a full-on Q&A because part of my job nowadays in making videos is making a lot of short videos. A lot of short videos, they may look 3 minutes, but they take a lot of time. It ends up being, 3 minutes ends up being hours of research, sometimes dozens of hours of research, and then a few hours of editing, and then sometimes an hour or two of writing because I have to write all my thoughts down and make a compelling voiceover. Sometimes I film it on the spot and extemporaneously, but it's a lot of work to make these short videos. So I haven't had enough time to kind of sit down and chat with all of you guys directly. And I love that, because I've started making videos live 8 years ago. But short videos have been very fruitful. So, and then making documentaries as well has been very interesting. And those are very time intensive things that take me away from here, you and I chatting. But I'm glad to be here today. So let me know, how are you guys doing? I gotta mute my computer so I'm not getting notifications out of nowhere. All right. So welcome everyone. Nice to see you here. Hello, Din Din. Din Din says, "Do you have a schedule for travel this year?" I have one travel planned already for early summer. Nothing else as of yet. I do have a few ideas of where I want to go. I want to go to Tokyo at least 2 weeks. I want to go to Japan at least 2 weeks at some point this year. I will go to Japan at least at some point this year. I want to potentially do a trip to Tibet or Nepal, one of those two. And that would be like an organized tour. And I'll be making short videos out of that journey. And I might want to go somewhere in Africa. So that's up in my mind right now. Hello, Cindy. Hello, Jacopo. Jacopo says, "What's your favorite country in Europe?" I love a lot of countries in Europe. I mean, I love Europe in general. Like, I really, really love a lot of places in Europe. The one I would, the city I really would keep going over and over again. It's still to this day is Paris and London. They're very kind of close to each other. Paris right now is a city that's still in. I really enjoy going back to. The main reason is Paris is just the best. I think it is the best city in the world. I haven't been to Tokyo yet, but from my experience in North America and Europe, Paris is still the best city in the world. It's the most beautiful, it's the most vibrant, has the most interesting food, has interesting people. has fascinating history. I really love Paris. So that's the city I would gravitate to the most. But when it comes to a country, while I do like France as a country, I like Greece. If we were to take a holistic country, Greece is just the people there, the culture is just beautiful. People are so amazing to talk to. Uh, People are welcoming. There's so many different places to go in Greece. You don't need a car necessarily. It's possible to visit many places in Greece via bus transportation. Uh, and it's a fascinating history as well. Dwayne says, will you go to Canada? I went to Canada briefly last year to Toronto. Would I go somewhere else in Canada? I would go to Montreal and Quebec City, maybe Vancouver. Canada is not on top of mind at the moment for me. It is just right there. So I'm tempted to do more shorter trips also in the near future because I realize I'm here in New York. I'm close to two of the biggest airports in New York City. Like, it's not that big of a deal to go to any of these airports. Why not take a 2-day trip to Montreal? Why not take a 1-day trip overnight and stay in an American city like Austin, Texas, or something like that? Um, so maybe. Atif says, "Well, where are you going back for a Brooklyn walk?" Yeah, I would go back for a Brooklyn walk. Stay tuned. Maybe in a few weeks. What's your favorite city in the US aside from New York? Says OAO. Aside from the New York City, the top city, in my opinion, in the US is Boston because of its history, because of its urbanism. It's an easy city also to walk in many areas. Has great public transportation, has fascinating history, and I found it to have very good food as well, and coffee shops. I really like Boston. After Boston, I would give Chicago would be my number three, and then a very close number four would be Miami. Top four cities in America. If I were to round it up to number five, LA. LA is just so interesting. It's not my favorite because you do have to use a car, but LA still a very fascinating city actually, and quite beautiful in some parts. So those are my top five American cities. Wilmy says excited to walk with you in Tokyo. Yeah, Tokyo is one of those cities I will be live streaming from when I go. Have you been to Iceland? No, not yet. Italy is the best. No, not yet. I have not been to Iceland. I do really want to go at some point. Pythagorean says, how about Atlanta, Georgia? Atlanta, Georgia, yeah. I am not a fan of cities that require a car. So I usually don't go to them. And it's not on top of mind. That may change because I might have a very interesting opportunity soon with two different companies to do more content about America in places that require a car. So that may happen. But from my own point of view, out of my own pocket, usually American cities are not the top of mind for me. And it's not because I don't like America. I love America. I think it's a beautiful country. And I think there's beautiful culture here, great food, or great potential for food. Um, Probably beautiful landscapes. I haven't experienced too many of the landscapes personally yet, but from what I've seen, there's gorgeous landscapes in Wyoming, Montana, Northern California. So there's a lot. America is a beautiful country, but I just am a fan of big cities that are walkable. So America does not offer that much aside from a handful of cities that I just mentioned. And that's why I gravitate more towards Europe. And now I'm excited to go to Japan. Have you gone to Madriera? Madria. Don't know how to pronounce that too well. The island in Portugal. I want to go. Haven't been there yet, Christina. But great question. What, in your opinion, does a city do extra nice to be in and explore? Asked Daniel. I think the main factor in a city being fun to explore is walkability, and then a very close second is public transit. So if you're able to walk in big chunks of the city, I think that's the best city to explore. It'll be the more fun to explore for sure. The reason for that is if you're using a car, you're really going from destination A to B. You're not really exploring much when you're using a car. Maybe you're exploring. Cars is great if you're going outside of a city. If you're exploring the small towns of Ireland, if you're going to the mountains of Wyoming, if you're going to the Hudson Valley in New York State, that's where a car I think is beautiful, is wonderful to use. But in a major city, even when you go to a car centric city like LA, you're really only going from point A to point B. You're not really just wandering. Wandering, in my opinion, is way more fun when you are on foot and on a bike or hopping around between public transportation to walkable places. Where are you going next? Stay tuned. I already have a trip planned, but that is a surprise. So stay tuned. I'll be going somewhere early summer. Miley says New Orleans over LA. I haven't been to New Orleans yet. I'm excited to go. Maybe that should be one of my short trips. Maybe I should go to just New Orleans for 2 days. Maybe I should just go for a weekend. Let me know. Is it worth it for a weekend? I've been a slow traveler for most of my career as a content creator. So I've mostly in my mind, I think about trips for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, a month, 2 months. I really, it's not my automatic mode to think about going to a city for a day or two, unless if it's a day trip from a nearby city. So that's why I've always thought about trips as long endeavors. And I'm a pretty slow traveler, so I don't pack my days either, because I allow a lot of space for wandering, for spontaneity. But I'm starting to realize that that doesn't have to be the only way to travel. One can also do short trips, and those also can be fun. Let me know what you think. Are you a fan of? Can you only travel if it's only minimum a week, or are you okay with traveling for a day or two or three? Because for me, I used to be in the camp of I can only travel if it's minimum a week. I do not want to bother leaving New York if I'm not going to a place for at least a week. But I'm starting to change my mind on that. What is your dream trip, says Mika, if money and time were not a factor? Yeah, my dream trip would be a cross country trip through China, going to, so it would be like, actually, it would be a trip through Asia, East Asia. It would go, Japan would be its own thing. So it would be a trip. If time and money weren't an issue, it would be a trip starting in Seoul, Korea, going to maybe a second big city in Korea, in South Korea, and then hopping to Shanghai, going to Beijing, then going to Chongqing in China, which is that this kind of very cyberpunk futuristic city, and then later on going to on a tour because on the tour to Tibet, because in Tibet you can only go as a foreigner on organized tours. Do like a 1 week, 10-day tour through Tibet. Go to the base camp of Everest, so I can see Everest. I won't climb Everest because I'm not a mountain climber. I don't foresee myself doing that anytime soon. But I would love to go to the base of Everest And then from Everest, after Tibet, go to Nepal, go to Kathmandu, the other side of the Himalayas. And then from Nepal, I would like to go back to Taiwan and explore Taipei. And then from Taipei, go to Singapore. And from Singapore, travel back to New York. Daniel says the city I got most impressed during one of your videos was Vienna. Yes. Vienna is stunning. I would return to Vienna. I want to return to Vienna. So yes, Vienna is just magical. I was blown away by Vienna. So 100% I would go to Vienna. 100%. What is your profession? Says AOA. This, making videos. Quite literally, yes. You can make money by making videos. That is my profession. I make videos for a living. I'm on multiple platforms: YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. Now I'm using LinkedIn more. And the way I make money from videos is I work with sponsors, with partners, such as Boulevard, the watch company. I'm making videos with them, making videos about their history. It's going to appear on my channels and their channels. I work with New York City Tourism, so I make videos about New York City history for the tourism board here in the city. And I'm paid on the monthly basis. And I work with a lot of people. I worked recently with Ford. I covered the Michigan Central Station. They paid me to go there. And when I do paid gigs, you always see it in the description of the video. It says sponsored or it says #ad. But I only choose sponsors and partners that I believe in. If it's a location or a company that takes me to a location, it's a location I'm curious about. It's a company that seems interesting. If it's a organization that has some type of wants to send some type of message, if I agree with the organization in some respect, I will cover it. Like my recent videos about the Queensway. Of course, there's other alternate plans in Queens, but I met the people, I chatted with them, I really like their line of thinking, and I covered them. So that's how I make money is partly through sponsorships and partnerships. Video nowadays is a hot commodity. And then aside from that, you guys watch my videos. I make money from ads on YouTube. And that's the main way of making money. Yeah. So I'm a full-time content creator right now. I really don't make money other ways, but I could if I wanted to. I could start making documentaries for uh, streamers or for other companies. You know, that's the beauty of my career. I'm a filmmaker, so and a storyteller. I could go any direction if I wanted to. Mika says, "How did you get into this business? You must be good at networking." Ironically, what I do right now, which is what I call content creator, that's a term a lot of people might use. Some people might use the term influencer. I prefer the term content creator because I make content online for you to basically see on almost on a daily basis. It's surprisingly a solo endeavor. I don't really need to network. It's nice to meet museums and go to and meet guides and interview professors and interview urban planners, interview chefs and a variety of people, but I actually don't need to network. So my job is pretty solo aside from my editor. So it's right now, Urbanist is pretty much a two-person endeavor. It's me and my editor, Maria, who edits half of my videos and has edited all the documentaries I did last year. So how did I get into the business? I got into the business because I started in media. So I started in Gawker Media back in 2014, 2014. Yeah, 2014. I started working for Gawker, and Gawker was a media company back in the day. It's no longer around. And then after that, I went to Vox Media, VOX, and Vox Media is still around. And I started working as a community manager for those two companies. I got into video with Vox, and once I got into video with Vox, I fell in love with making videos, and I decided to go my own way. And I've been doing this for 8 years. I've done a variety of different types of videos. I started with live, but I did vlogs. I did short videos in various formats. I've done 360 VR videos, and now I do short form videos that are seen on YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, TikToks. So I do a really wide range of videos, and I've figured out what works best, what people like, where I can tell stories best, and that's how I got into the job. Yeah, it's I definitely am very blessed. I'm very blessed that I've been able to make a way to make a living while traveling. I mean, and make a living by by doing what I love. I love history. I love urbanism. I love a lot of other topics I talk about, food and architecture. I love I love learning about the world. I love mostly learning about places. And that's what really my channel is about learning about places. Whatever that those places are. It could be a behind the scenes of a Broadway musical, off Broadway musical, like I did recently. It could be learning about the history of a building or the architectural elements of a church. I just love going to places, and I'm so grateful that I was able to find a way to make this a living. And I think examples like mine, and there's many other people who figure out how to make a living from what they love. It is possible. It is possible. So I need to learn how to edit, says Mika, or find an editor friend. Maybe take a media class. Sorry, I can't listen more. Hey, thank you so much, Mika. I appreciate you tuning in. Um, it's possible. Do everything on your own. That would be my main piece of advice if you want to get into this line of work of making videos, especially on posting them online. Figure out how to do it on your own first, unless if you want to collaborate with a friend off the bat. But otherwise, figure out how to do it on your own. The reason I say that is because if you figure out how to tell the story, write it, research it, edit the video, and post it, you know all the elements of the actual making of the thing. And then you'll be able to figure out what part of the process you enjoy the most. And it may surprise you. For me, when I started making videos, I thought I would enjoy speaking on camera without editing. I thought that would be the funnest thing. I didn't think editing would be that compelling to me. But then I got hooked on editing short videos. I just love the format. I love editing on my phone. And I got hooked and I started thriving in that. So sometimes it might surprise you. I didn't think I would like writing scripts, but then getting into documentaries, I really enjoyed writing. The sound is low. Let's see. Let's put the sound higher. Maybe you can hear me now much higher. Maybe I'm a bit too high at the moment. Let me know. Hey, Kenya, thank you, Kenya. Thank you so much for the super chat, for the $2 super chat. Do you have a favorite architect from New York City? A living one? The my favorite architectural firm in New York City right now is Shop Architects. SHOP Architects. And I like them because here in New York City they do Art Deco, Neo Art Deco. So they actually take elements from Art Deco of the 1930s and 40s and make them modern. And I really, really like. Their style. So Shop Architects is my favorite. I actually interviewed the CEO of Shop Architects last summer. That video is not released yet, but I really enjoyed talking to him. Arjan says, "Are you going to India soon?" India, India is a fascinating country. Has a lot of history. It's not top of mind at the moment. I think I would love to go to India when I can travel very comfortably in India. India. I'm not much of an adventure traveler. I think it's very clear if you see a lot of my videos. I am not someone who kind of is going to the most hectic places, places that are a bit so different culturally. I really haven't gotten used to that. I'm not much of a adventure kind of guy. I'm more of a big city, exploring of a big city for a week or two or more, and really getting acquainted with the place. So India seems a bit overwhelming, and the culture seems so different. Uh, so while I'm intrigued in it, it's also a bit intimidating. And at the moment, I'm not really eager to go to India. That may change, but yeah, to me, India seems like traveling on hard mode, at least from my American perspective. MJ, nice to see you here. Not sure if anyone has asked this has not sure if anyone asked this question since. MJ, ask away. Fortune says my question would be: have you ever gotten lost in a foreign place and had to make your way back relying on people and no GPS? Yeah, this ties into me not being really an adventure traveler. So I've traveled through North America and Europe, and I've gotten mostly to major cities, and I've gone to places where I am accessible via public transportation. Aside from a road trip last year, so no, I have not gotten lost to the point where I needed resources outside of GPS. It has not happened, surprisingly. And it's because Europe, the infrastructure in Europe is so good in the majority of European cities that I never found myself in the position where I needed to find my way. I had no service. It doesn't really happen. Adam asks, "Would you travel with an autism traveler group?" I've worked with people with autism before. I did a series of lectures for a school, not school, but like a program here for women with autism, adult women with autism. And this organization hired me to do a series of lectures about history in New York City, and present it to these women with autism, both on as a lecture and as videos. It was awesome. I really enjoyed it. The person who hired me, who was a friend of mine, told me, warned me actually right before doing the in person lecture, because they have like a location where the women go and do various programs, arts and crafts, uh, learn lectures, like various things. And my friend warned me saying, "Hey, Ariel, don't be shocked the if the women don't really respond. Um, just keep telling the story anyway." And of course, yeah, that's I appreciate that she said that, because obviously autism is affects the way of socializing. So someone with autism might not be able to show that they're actively listening. I might not perceive it that way. So I was pretty kind of intimidated going to that lecture. I was like, oh, okay, this is gonna be hard. Telling a presentation to a group of women who might not really give me anything, as I'm like presenting them, and I get like a feedback that people are paying attention. I might not even get eye contact. Um, and then I gave the presentation. I talked about these mysteries, and I got, oh wow, ooh, and I got laughs, and I was shocked. I was shocked that I had such an engaged audience. with this group of adult women with autism. And at the end, we had a Q&A, which was part of the lecture, and a lot of hands rose up, and I got some fascinating questions. And people with autism sometimes tend to ask questions that might not be what other people normally would ask, either a bit too specific or a bit kind of lacking a social nuance. And it was fascinating getting these like really nerdy, super specific questions and being comfortable with answering them. And I loved it. It was a great experience. It was very rewarding too, because my friend who hired me after said, "Hey Ariel, you did such a great job." But, like, I never seen them so engaged, um, and I felt like I really kicked ass. So yeah, if there's ever opportunity to work with a group of people with autism, maybe there's a way to make a good video about how people travel with autism. I think it might be compelling. I've seen videos on YouTube, on TikTok, of a guy with very serious autism, and it's just very sweet to see how he navigates the world with that condition. The U.S. is much larger and diverse in culture and food and history. The U.S. is definitely diverse. Yeah, 100%. I'm just not a fan of driving too much, so I haven't gotten the taste for driving. So that's why I just not really too driven to go. No pun intended, to go to many places in the U.S. I wish that weren't the case. That's why I love Europe. Europe, I can go from France to Germany. I could go from Netherlands to Belgium. I could go from Italy to Vienna. I can go from Italian city. I can go from Rome to Naples to the Dolomites, all by public transportation. It's wonderful. I just really really love it, and it's not really viable in the U.S. It is possible, but it's very time intensive. Amtrak takes a long time. It's not high speed. It's very expensive. Amtrak. Uh, Staying in hotels in the U.S. are very expensive. If I don't want to use a car, then I would have to take a taxi from the airport to the hotel, take a taxi from the hotel to another tourist attraction, and costs can add up very quickly. So I, as someone who prefers walking and public transportation, don't feel as free in the U.S. as I do in Europe, which is a shame. I would love to see America embrace public transportation as a whole, to the point where I can spontaneously go to Montclair, New Jersey, and hop around between different areas of New Jersey for fun. That would be wonderful. But for me to hop around New Jersey right now, it might not be too terribly compelling, because I can maybe only access 2 or 3 blocks of the town center, and that's it. Everything else requires a car. Not the case in Europe. In Europe, if you go to even the smaller cities like Maastricht in Netherlands, which is this old medieval city, it's so jam packed with a lot of things to do within the city, and I can easily go to another city the same day, uh, without spending much money or taking a long time on the train or on the bus. Copenhagen was amazing to see during your travels. What a vibe. I only seen it on YouTube, although I'm being from Sweden. Yeah, if you're Swedish, go to Copenhagen, go to Denmark. Denmark is wonderful. I loved Denmark. I really got a good taste of Danish culture. The Danes were so friendly, smiley, like really like happy go lucky people. And I really was impressed by Denmark, and I would love to go back. Is the air train and LIRR easy to use as it looks? Yes, it's easy to use. Yes. Yes. But Cindy, thank you so much for sending a DM. I'm more than happy to give you some travel tips. But if you're traveling with a family, actually might be more economical to just take a taxi from the airport to the hotel. Because if you think about it, you're splitting costs between four people. On the air train plus LRR, you're gonna spend about $20 per person. $7 for the air train and $12 for the Long Island Railroad. Plus, you either gotta walk or take another subway to the hotel. That can add another $3 in costs. So you're up to $22. You're up to $22 per head if you take public transportation from the airport to the hotel. So that said, if you're solo, it's economical. If you're in a couple, maybe. If it's more than two, no, it's not really economical. You're better off just taking an Uber or a Lyft. Download 3 apps when you come here for taxis, for cabs. Uber, this is for New York City, and this applies to many other American cities. Uber, Lyft, 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 and Revel, Revel. Download those 3 apps, and those 3 apps are great for taking a car share ride, ride share, anywhere in the city, and you can compare the prices between them. And sometimes Uber's cheaper, sometimes Lyft is cheaper, sometimes Revel's much cheaper. So from the airport, you can compare the 3 and take the cheapest one, and you'll be spending about $90 to get from JFK Airport to the middle city, or from Newark to the middle city might be 110. So it might actually either be the same price or cheaper to go via taxi. Adam, you're asking me about. Adam is asking me when's the best time to travel to Israel. I've never been to Israel, so I don't know. But in relation to holy days and traveling, it depends on the country. For example, Germany still really adheres to Sunday being a quiet day. Originally, that's because Sunday is a Sabbath in Christian religion, including Protestant and Catholic. So when it comes to Germany, small town Ireland, smaller town France, Sundays are going to be very quiet. So Sundays might not be the best time to travel in many Christian countries. Um, it depends where. It's a Jewish country, and the Sabbath is Saturday. So Saturday might not be the best time to travel. I don't know what the holy day is for the Islamic religion nor the Buddhist. Player Test says, "Have you ever been to the Twin Towers?" Yeah, I went to the Twin Towers as a kid. Um, I went to the Twin Towers when I was 8 years old. 8 years old, I visited the Twin Towers. I think that was the only time, 8 or 9. And I remember it clearly. I was blown away as a kid. Went to the Twin Towers. That was the only time I visited. And then they fell down in 2001, and I was about 12, 13 years old. Mr. Master says, "Would you like to visit Ireland?" I've been to Ireland once. I did a month trip in Ireland. I've been to Ireland once. I did a month trip in Ireland. I really want to go back. But if you want to see uh my videos on Ireland, and I've covered a lot of history when I went to Ireland. I loved it, and I want to cover more history. And I covered not your typical history. I went sometimes deep into certain topics. Search Ireland Urbanist. Search. I went to Cork. I went to Kilkenny, Dublin, Belfast in Northern Ireland, and I went to what's the other place I went to? Went to one more city. What's that city? The one with all the flags. Slipping my mind. The city with a lot of college parties. That city's name? Galway. Galway. I went to Galway. So I went to those cities. So search those cities' names and Urbanist, and you'll see my videos. And then, would you say block parties are generally the best functions in New York City? From my experience as a New Yorker, I have not seen too many block parties. Block parties, if when they do happen, they happen in summertime, between the months of May to about October or September, May to September. Um, most block parties are kind of community events. So and they happen in not the touristy areas of New York. So if you want to see a block party in action, the one that probably is the more tourist friendly would be Bushwick. So check Bushwick or Bushwick number one. Yeah, Bushwick, Brooklyn has like big block parties in the summertime where anyone really goes. But if you go to like a block party in the Bronx or a block party in certain areas of Brooklyn, like Bedford Stuyvesant, and you're not from there, you may stick out. You it's not that you will not be welcomed, but they are community events. They're not kind of public parties. Pythagoras says, "What's the most dangerous place you've been?" Again, I'm not really an adventure traveler, so I haven't really been to too many dangerous places. Most dangerous place I've personally experienced, New York. I'm like, being from New York, every other European city basically pales in comparison to New York City. New York City is not like ridden with crime as you might hear in the news, but there are crazy people, unfortunately, in New York. It's the only city I've been to, not the only, but it's one of the few cities I've been to where there's significant amount of people that are just really mentally ill out about in the city. Mental health is very important. And of course, no one wants to ostracize people with mental health issues. But unfortunately, there's a subset of people with mental health issues who are also violent. And it is very uncomfortable and not good for public safety to have people like that out and about without treatment, without a place to be. So yes, it sucks that is the case in New York. There's mentally ill people who are violent, who are very unruly in public spaces, screaming, cursing, being a nuisance. And I have not encountered that in most European cities. I encountered that in Toronto a little bit. I encountered that in Montreal. I encountered that in Seattle and Los Angeles. But in Europe, yeah, almost nowhere. Almost nowhere. I have not really gone to a place where I felt very uncomfortable uh, due to random mentally ill people. But the place where I did not feel so at ease walking anywhere was Naples. Naples. I didn't feel uh, in mortal danger, but I felt like there's areas I should not be walking as a tourist who does not know Italian. Hey, Oz Fly Girl says, I do love your museum tours and culture tours. Oh, I'm so glad you do. Yeah. Yeah, I love them too. I'm glad you enjoy them. Hey, MJ says, hey, how are you, Ariel? I'm doing very well. Player Test 8 says, Ariel, it's really amazing how I've been watching for a while your live stream. Time flies. Yeah, some people have been watching since 2016. And then I was on Tumblr. I was a Tumblr blogger, specialized in music and spirituality for 6 years before that. So I started that in 2009. And I have a handful of people who still follow me from those days, which is crazy to think about. That some people have known me virtually for upwards of 10 years. Any plans to visit Virginia? I'm very curious about Roanoke because of the mystery about Roanoke. Yeah, Virginia does have some interesting tourist sites, and I would love to do Civil War history. So maybe one day. There's some new skyscrapers in Midtown and Uptown that are finished. Will you make a live tour about them? Yeah, maybe. I would love to cover the J.P. Morgan building, so stay tuned. I might make videos about that. Bella says, "Yeah, I heard Naples is intense. You must be careful." Yeah, I think people overblown how Naples is dangerous, but also Naples is not a city where it's a city where you have to keep your street smarts, basically. But I think people kind of make it seem too scary. I was actually quite surprised how comfortable I felt in Naples. So Naples is very similar to New York. They have slightly different challenges. But in Naples, just like New York, there's certain neighborhoods where you should not be walking through. But in the touristy areas, it's pretty damn friendly. It's pretty easy. So, how to identify an apartment condo if it's a land lease before buying? Somebody I don't know. Somebody is the username. I don't know that question. I'm not a real estate expert. My name is Urbanist because I cover urbanism, but then the real reason I call myself Urbanist is because I'm a person who likes learning about cities by walking around in them, by exploring them, specifically on foot. And that term may mean different things in Europe, but in the US, the term urbanist is changing, but at least traditionally, it used to be someone who got to know a city by exploring it. That was the term urbanist traditionally. Are you traveling to Europe this summer? You might see a European location. You might see a few European locations again soon in the summer. Come to San Antonio and check out the new museum at the Alamo. Ooh, today's Texan Independence Day. Hey, happy Texan Independence Day. Texas has a fascinating history, so I hope to go to Texas soon. Let me know. San Antonio doable in 2 days? And do I need is it viable to go to the Alamo by public transportation? Do let me know. I would love to hear your insights. Bella says that's good to know, Ariel. I hope to visit Italy one day in the city of Naples. Yes, don't be deterred by Naples. Naples is like New York. It's just some people might exaggerate how dangerous it might be. Hey, we need to go back to Williamsburg to get those cheap but tasty burgers. Yeah, Williamsburg has $3 burgers that are really good in Greenpoint. Yeah. You know, I was about to live stream a few days ago in Greenpoint, and I thought to myself, "Oh, I can't do Greenpoint again." I've live streamed from Greenpoint a lot. It's just that I just love that neighborhood. It's one of the neighborhoods I love hanging out the most in, and Williamsburg, and I thought to myself, "Oh, I can't do it again." But I'm glad people enjoy it. Valerie, how you doing? Nice to see you here. Kenya. Valerie says Texas has 2 time zones. Yeah, Texas is huge. I wonder what's in the panhandle of Texas, that little strip that sticks out further west. What's there? I heard it's one of the emptiest places in the US. That's what I heard. Spanish Quarter in Naples is awesome. Ooh, I did not manage to go to the Spanish Quarter. You've been to Detroit Central Station, that says Adam. I think there are plans to have Amtrak come back to the station. There are talks, there are proposals. To be honest, Adam, I'm not too optimistic it will happen. I would love to see it happen. I'm not optimistic it will. The reason for that is Ford basically owns the entire station. I doubt Amtrak will work with Ford to make it a viable train station. I'm not sure if Ford really wants to do that. They expressed interest when I went there. But since Amtrak is a public company, a public subsidized company, Ford is a private company, I'm not sure if that will work. Honestly, I think hopefully one day there'll be great transit all throughout Michigan and that area of the Midwest. You know, there should be a high speed rail corridor that connects Detroit, Chicago, Buffalo, New York, and potentially up to Toronto. There should be just an entire high speed rail corridor. Um, if that happens, they should just build the station a bit closer to the downtown. I hope we will see more live streams as players test. I love the live streams from New York and the vibe with the live chat and listening to you. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate that. Did this says I would like to visit the Ford Museum. Oh, I'm so glad you enjoyed my videos of the Ford Museum. It was a blast going there. Daniel says I loved Ariel's trip to Copenhagen. I'm so glad a lot of people enjoyed my previous trips. Let me know right now in the comments which of my trips was the most memorable and which one do you want to see more of? What of my trips is the most memorable? Not New York, outside from New York. And which of the cities would you like to see more of that I've covered? Hey, Adam says in the Panhandle of Texas is halfway through the Route 66 and there's a famous little cafe. Summer Sky, outside of New York. Outside of New York. What other places would you like to see? Valerie is asking, how is my dad doing? My dad, for many people who've seen my 2020 and 2021 live streams, he called himself my executive producer. My dad was so kind enough to drive as I live streamed in parts all around New York and gave car history tours. That was awesome. And he's doing well. He's doing well. He's doing really well. My dad continues to travel with my mom, and they continue having a great time. So yeah, they're in good health and doing well. Daniel says Vienna and Copenhagen. Ooh, Vienna and Copenhagen was the most memorable. Cool. Pythagorean for him was Athens, Greece. I might be super biased. Yeah, Athens. I love that. I love live streaming from Athens. It's such one of the best places to live stream from. So easy to just hop into a restaurant, hop into a bar, hop into a cafe. Sometimes go into random conversations. It's a really easy place to live stream. When you went to remote areas of France and Italy, yeah, Din. Yeah, I went to some remote areas of France and Italy for sure. France, even more so because I was in France for nearly 2 months in 2022. I was there for 2 months, quite literally, 2022. Russell loved Seattle. All right. People still talk about Seattle, Seattle live streams to this day. I'm kind of shocked. For LAB, it was Greece. For Wendy, it was my London live streams. For Oz, it was Vienna and Paris. Paris, I love live streaming in Paris. Cristo says it was Rome and Lisbon. I did not go to Lisbon. I haven't been to Lisbon. But Rome, yes. I'm so glad you love Rome. Judy says, I love the crazy, amazing castle through the receptionist was on the Fritz. Judy, which castle are you referring to? The reception was on the Fritz. Oh, not receptionist. You mean the cell phone reception. Are you referring to Neuschwanstein in Germany, in Bavaria? Or are you referring to another castle? Are you referring to Slovakia? The Sam is giving me riddles. Sam, while I like riddles, feel free to ask me any questions about cities. That was around the first time I found you, says Wendy, when you were driving with your dad, maybe a year before that. I love your Krakow video, says Bishop. Yeah, Krakow was, I loved Poland. I love Poland. I love the food in Poland. It blew me away. I just really love Central European food. Annette says, when are you going to be traveling again this year? I already have a trip planned for early summer. It's going to be a long trip, multiple stops. No other trips planned, but I want to travel hopefully soon. Hopefully in April. Somebody says for a couple in their 40s moving from another country to the US, which city in the US is the cheapest to stay? I wouldn't be the best person to ask. I don't know. New York City can be very expensive. So not New York. Even in the New York City metropolitan area, if you go to Nassau County, Connecticut, Westchester, New Jersey, places are going to be very expensive. Rent is for a couple, it's going to be $2,000. I think the cheapest you can go in New York City or the New York City metropolitan area is about 1,700, 1,800, but it's really difficult. Bella says, I like so many of the cities I visited, but it's hard to pick one. Sam says Southampton. I have not been to Southampton, but I showed Cork, Ireland, which was one of the launching points for the Titanic. It's just difficult to stream in New York City when it's so cold. It's not so pleasant. Yeah. Yes. One of the reasons why I don't live stream from New York City. The other reason I have live streamed a lot from New York City. So I'm still not really eager to do more, do many videos of walking around New York City. It does so much that it just doesn't really give me that. I don't feel that spark as I used to. But from time to time, like yesterday, it felt great to live stream yesterday. So that's why I don't live stream as often as I used to in New York City. But have many tours you did were nice. Oh, when you bought the hat, says Valerie. Oh yeah, well, I've bought a few hats on my live streams, but you might be referring to when I bought a hat in Nice, France, the south of France. Daniel says Athens was special because you did really deep. You got really deep into the city and its history. Yeah, I really did. I really got deep into the city's history. Is 270 Park Avenue an office building? I'm not sure. Players test. 270 Park Avenue. I don't know off the top of my head. If I were to venture a guess, a lot of buildings on Park Avenue are residential. So sometimes they're mixed, but usually they're residential. You won't see too many offices on Park. Teresa says, we missed you. How often do you make live streams nowadays? Not too often. Not too often. Once a month. Scotland was fun, says Lizzo. Yes. Is there a neighborhood not too far from the Upper West Side that is expensive to stay? Less expensive to stay? Yeah, I'm getting a lot of questions about Upper West Side. Are you guys seeing videos? Are people posting videos about the Upper West Side? Is it becoming popular for some reason that I'm unaware of? Um, while there's a few museums up there, yeah, it's more of a residential neighborhood. It still has a lot of hustle and bustle. Yeah, if you're staying in a hotel and want to be close to the Upper West Side, I would say Hell's Kitchen, to be honest. It is a very busy area of New York. Times Square is a very busy area of New York, but it's just the hotels there are just so big that's cheaper. So I would just honestly recommend staying in Times Square, and then you can just take the train up to neighborhoods like the Upper West Side, visit other beautiful areas like Morningside Heights, where there's Cathedral of St. John the Divine, one of the largest cathedrals in the world. Visit Columbia University. It's very easy from the trains, from subways in Times Square. If you really are hell bent in staying in an area outside Times Square, it's gonna be very expensive in New York. I am not sure where the deals are, but if I were to venture a guess, maybe Harlem. Um, there's a few hotels in Morningside Heights, but I don't know for sure. Teresa says, "Hope you feel better." I'm feeling a little bit better. Yeah. Can you believe it's almost daylight savings time? Yeah, March 9th. Oh, I can't believe it. Cristo says, I would love to see you visit Sicily and Lisbon. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I would love to show those places. You have to work on another Peabody Award. Well, yeah. I would love to be considered for the Peabody. I was tempted to submit my Athens documentary series to the Peabodys for best documentary, but the entry cost was $800, which it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. It's worth it if you win, but it's quite a bit of money. How do I impress my teenage niece and nephew in New York for free? I'm taking them there this month, says Judy. For free. It's very possible in New York. You basically have to go somewhere outdoors. Cathedral St. John the Divine in Morningside Heights is just stunning. It's one of the largest cathedrals in the world. It's definitely the second largest cathedral in all the US, if I'm correct. It's massive. There's a crazy sculpture right next to it called the Peace Fountain. Uh, Columbia University is only a few blocks away. The Seifeld Diner is only a few blocks away, but I'm not sure if your teenage nephew and niece would be interested in that. There's a very good cafe right in front of the Cathedral St. John the Divine uh, called the Hungarian Pastry Shop. So that little area of Manhattan is just stunning. But if it's teenagers, depends on what they're a fan of. If your teenagers are a fan of if your teenage niece and nephew are a fan of Marvel superheroes, the Marvel movies, Grand Central Terminal is just beautiful in general, but it's also the main location of the fight scene in the first Avengers film. And a lot of Avengers movies and a lot of Marvel movies have like fight scenes in that general area. So Grand Central Terminal is definitely stunning. Um, and then for beautiful views of the city, go to Dumbo. Dumbo in general. You don't need to spend money in Dumbo, but walking around Dumbo in general is just a beautiful area of New York. You have the Brooklyn Bridge, great photo opportunities with the Brooklyn Bridge. Uh, the waterfront, you get amazing views of New York City, of the Manhattan skyline. And then if you do want to spend a little bit of money, go get pizza at Juliana's, and it won't break the bank. a pie of pizza is about $35 or so. So with you and your with your niece and nephew, three people, you'll be spending about $60 maybe. So it won't be too terribly expensive. So go to Juliana's, go to Dumbo. That's my recommendation. Did you like the movie A Complete Unknown? I haven't seen it yet. I will do a review of it soon. Murphy says Ariel. Hey Murphy, how you doing? Aw says, and New York City content live on the street. You like him? You like the New York City walking show? Yeah, he's amazing. Annette says, I'm still love your videos on Santorini, Greece. Those are probably one of the more beautiful videos I've done, just due to the location. It's just stunning. Wendy says, but we love the New York City live streams. I'm glad you do. I'm glad you do, Wendy. I enjoy your pop-up live streams, but understand you have moved on to greater things. I want to say greater things, you know, life ebbs and flows. I really love live streaming, but I'm definitely in the ebb when it comes to live streaming. I have been in the ebb for live streaming for nearly a year. I thrived in live streaming last year when I covered Central Europe, and I did a live stream nearly on a daily basis. And I showed you places all around Central Europe. But yes, I'm a little bit in a ebb in live streaming. It happens. Um, I try not to force myself to make things I personally don't want to do. I love entertaining. I love giving people what they want in terms of videos, but I try to align it with what I like doing. And the reason I do that is because it comes through. Right now, I'm popping up on this live stream because I just wanted to go live. I think I'm giving the best energy to all of you by doing something when I really want to do it, covering the topics I'm really interested at the moment, going to the locations I'm really curious about. I do. Sally says we liked your Greece documentary. I'm so glad you did. Are there areas in New York City you never visited? New York City is a big city, so yes, there are areas I haven't been to, but not that big areas. I haven't been to like certain suburbs in Staten Island. I haven't been to every part of Queens. I've seen a lot of Queens and Brooklyn. I've certainly seen basically every area of Manhattan at this point. And I've seen huge parts of northern Brooklyn. Yeah. Yeah, just a few places. Now I've been seeing a lot in New York. What's your favorite skyscraper in downtown specifically? Ooh, downtown, that's a hard one. Downtown does not have the most interesting modern skyscrapers. One World Trade Center is still very gorgeous. It would be the Woolworth building. I think is still the prettiest skyscraper in downtown. It's a historic skyscraper, Art Deco style, built by Cass Gilbert, if I recall correctly, and it's gorgeous. DS says, nice to see you. I watched your recent video yesterday. I missed your live streams. Hey. Ronald says, are you going back to DC? Oh, and you say the DC videos were great. Hey, man, I really love DC. Let me put on some music. I need some music here. I love DC, and I would love to go back. Yeah, yeah, I actually really love DC. So soon, hopefully. Yeah, yeah. I wish trains were faster from New York to DC. If we had high speed trains in New York, the equivalent that you see in Italy and in France and in Spain and in parts of England, I would be able to get from New York to DC in 3 hours, 2 hours, about three, I think, 3 hours. Uh, but it's not the case. So DC is still not easy to just go on a whim, but maybe I will. Why the long absence? Just need a break, says DS. I'm not taking a full break. I'm posting a lot of short videos. A lot of short videos. DS. So I'm still posting content. But when it comes to documentaries, I made a lot of documentaries last year, so I'm taking a little bit of a break from documentaries. But when it comes to live video, yeah, taking a break. Just because I'm in New York, as I mentioned, I'm not really too deeply eager to live stream in New York. But there are moments where it pops up, just like yesterday. With the $1,800 budget in New York, which neighborhoods is the safest to rent? $1,800 is not much in New York. You're not gonna have many options. It's gonna be very tough to find anything bigger than a studio for 1,800. Just being realistic. There are ways to get cheaper apartments. I don't know those ways. You have to know someone. You have to get a good deal from a real estate agent who's very knowledgeable, but it's very difficult. 1,800 if you're looking for a studio, pretty much northern Queens, Sunnyside, Jackson Heights, parts of Long Island City, Astoria. You might be able to, but it's going to be really difficult. So you might need to go deeper into Queens, like Forest Hills, which is still a very vibrant area of Queens, and you might be able to find cheaper apartments around the $1,800 range. And that's the case in deeper parts of Brooklyn as well, such as parts of Gowanus, Red Hook, Sunset Park, all safe areas. I would not recommend staying in Staten Island unless if you want more of a suburban vibe. Manhattan is not going to be viable, I think, at 1,800. Unfortunately, it's possible, but I think it's just really difficult. So I honestly, I wouldn't even recommend trying. It just could be very time intensive, and all the places are very tiny if they're in that price range. What's the plan for lives? No plan. No plan for lives. I'll go live when I go live. Sadly, the Columbia University is still off limits. Really, Wendy? Oh no, that's terrible to hear. What's the plan for your YouTube channel? Says DS. No set plans. I kind of want to go to places I never been, parts of Asia, maybe Africa, maybe South America. I really want to go random places. I hopefully will be working with some cool partners to cover more of the US. So that is the intention, but there's no plan. I don't really like making plans. So yeah, I have literally no plan. The only intentions. That's how I live life. Daniel says it is many walker YouTubers nowadays. Yes, there's a lot of them. Now there's a lot of walking live streamers and YouTubers. But Ariel has his own style, as we know. I'm glad you enjoy my own style. I'm glad my own style still is noticeable because there's a lot more people out there. Cristo says, have you seen The Substance? No, I have not. I would not see it. I don't like horror movies. I've seen very few horror movies in years. Remember in all the cats in Greece? Was it? Yeah, you'll see a lot of cats in Greece wandering around. Auntie says, I recently watched your Athens documentary series. My heritage is from Greece. This was a well thought out, well scripted, excellent documentary. Whoever did the cinematography also did a great job. Yeah, the cinematography was made by my editor, Maria Epida Querido. She was also the videographer for the entire Athens series and for Scotland for the Edinburgh Urbanist. And yeah, she did a great job, a really great job. So I'm really glad to have been working with Maria in those videos. I'm so glad you enjoyed that Athens documentary series. That's great to hear. How can I visit the Ford Archive? Says Truly. It's not open to the public. I wish it were, but it's not. As far as I know, there's no way to see the Ford Archives publicly. You have to know someone at Ford. You have to know the archivist at Ford specifically. Unfortunately, yeah, I'm so sorry. Though I can post a full uncut tour of the Ford Archives. I have about 40 minutes of footage from the Ford Archives, and that can be posted to my patrons. Patrons usually get access to full uncut tours. Usually, these videos that I post as YouTube shorts on Instagram are about maximum 3 minutes long, but usually I film 20 minutes to 2 hours of footage, of interviews, of tours. And the Ford Archives is no exception. I filmed about 40 minutes of a tour of the Ford Archives, uh, and only 3 minutes made it to the short video. If you want to see that, become a patron at patreon.com/urbanist. And or a YouTube member. Click join on YouTube, and you can also get access to my full videos. I'll post the Ford Archives next week. Let's do that. Next week, I'll post it for patrons. Let me write it down. Let's see if I can write it down. Welcome, everyone. Nice to see you here. Welcome, everyone. Let me know where you're tuning in from. Ooh. Wait up. I am. Oh, no. Oh, no. This got small. Oh. Hey, no. What? Oh, my God. Sorry, guys. It's great. Great questions here, but I'm struggling with this. Hey, what are you doing? Oh, my God. It's not. Mm-mm. All right. My video is struggling. I'm not sure why. Okay, everyone. Sorry. It's everything's freaking out on me. Not sure why. I'm using a live streaming service, and I think I should be good now. All right. Wow, we're getting a lot of comments. All right. Can you hear me now? All right, let me know. Can you hear me? All right, patreon.com/urbanist. Oh, that was a bit. All right. Hey, Auntie says, somebody above said you won the Peabody. Most impressive. Yes, I am along with my colleague, Carlo Green, we both won for Instagram or short video series about the history of race in New York. And so I am the first Instagram content creator, YouTuber. I'm not sure if I'm the first YouTuber, but I'm definitely the first Instagrammer, first short form video content creator, along with my colleague, to win the Peabodys. And we won for Best Interactive and Immersive Media at the Peabody Awards in 2024. And that was a 6-part short video series. Each video was about 1 to 3 minutes long, about the history of race in New York with Carlo Green. You have a journalist background? No, I don't have a journalist background. My collaborator is a historian by college degree. I only have a background in engineering. I only have education in engineering. Everything else, self-taught. Filmmaking, history, urbanism, architecture, or architectural history. Everything is self-taught. Judy says, I appreciate your gift to retell and bring life to stories I would never have heard. I appreciate you seeing the world through your eyes. Hey, I'm so happy to hear that. Thank you so much for saying that. Georgia says, yeah, Colombia is closed. This is such a shame. It was because of the protests last year. It's really sad to hear. Aza says, I asked this on FB. I could not agree with you more on Europe and high-speed trains. Your tips have saved me. I'm glad. I'm glad people have seen the light of European travel. It's a lot easier than if you grew up in the US or Canada. You'll realize that traveling in Europe is easy. Europe is the most travel friendly continent in the world. And it's so easy to hop around. Aza, now that you're tuning in, Aza wanted to ask me some questions about traveling. So feel free to ask me. Someone earlier asked me, has life changed being in a relationship? That was DS. What's it been like? It's been wonderful. It's been for many people who don't know. This past year, I've gotten into a relationship. You've seen her. Her name is Kira. She's appeared in a few of my videos in Italy, specifically my videos in Arezzo and Verona and Berlin. She appeared in three different areas, and she appeared very briefly in one of my videos in Puerto Rico. And yeah, it's been wonderful. It's been really wonderful. Has life changed? Not much, actually, which is actually a really good thing. It has been a really a beautiful past nearly a year at this point. And it's nice to have company to adventure around New York City and the places I've traveled with her. And it's nice to have done a few videos with her. So on the side of Urbanist, it was very nice to like have her recently. I visited a place called Round K by Seoul for seafood. And it was very nice to just have her in the video. So yeah, it's been wonderful, but not much has changed. No, not much has changed. I think that's quite a good thing. I pretty much have. I pretty much wanted someone in my life that could fit into my lifestyle. And Kira is that person. We just, kind of perfectly align in that way. Auntie Maxine says, "Is it okay to ask? Do you intend on making more documentaries, or are you more into travel videos? I'm really impressed with what you did with the documentary on Athens culture." I am too. Thank you, Auntie Maxine. Really, really big thank you. I really appreciate you loving my documentaries. They were definitely a labor of love because they were all made out of my own pocket. I went to these countries. I went to Athens. I went to Scotland. I traveled through New York City's coffee culture, all out of my own pocket. With coffee, I filmed it myself. With Athens and Edinburgh, I hired Maria, and then they were edited by Maria, and they were time intensive. Took many months to edit them. It took a long time to research and to write the voiceover, and then I had to record voiceover. So it's a very time intensive process. And then we had Katerina Kaku, which is our assistant editor, and she colored, she provides sound effects, and she made illustrations and motion graphics. So I had to hire two people, which I'm happy. Maria and Katerina are amazing duo to work with. But it was a lot of money. I spent a lot of money. I did not make any of my money back. I made very little money back. Athens luckily got a bunch of views, but the other two documentaries got not too many. The coffee documentary and the Edinburgh Urbanist. It is a bit disappointing. I'm very proud of my work, and people certainly loved it, including many of you who are watching out there. And I had a private premiere for my coffee documentary where I got to see people enjoy my work in person, and they loved it. People really loved it, and I was so happy that I made these documentaries. I made a lot of documentaries. It was basically 8 episodes of documentaries in 2024, and then I made Christmas documentary. So I made another documentary. So I made 9. A lot of documentaries in 1 year. But unfortunately, aside from the 2 successes with Athens, 2 episodes got more than 200,000 views. I did not make much money back. So they were quite expensive. And this is a business. No matter how much I love the art, I can't keep making documentaries where I'm losing money. It's not financially responsible. It's not viable. I gotta live. I gotta pay rent. I gotta pay for the flights to the place. I gotta pay for Maria to edit it. So it's not viable. I found it not really fruitful to make documentaries, at least in the near future. So it does suck because I really got a taste for making documentaries, but in order for me to make multiple a year, I gotta find a way to make money from them, or to make documentaries that get views. Because for some reason they did not get that many views on YouTube. I wish they did, or on Facebook. And then beyond that, I would need more budget to hire a secondary editor because Maria spent months editing because she's only one person, and then Katerina helped us with coloring and sound effects and motion graphics. But our team was pretty small to pump out multiple documentaries per year. If we had 2 more people, someone else to help film, someone to help research and write, and another secondary editor, if we had like 2 or 3 more people, which is viable. Some YouTubers have found a way to make high quality documentaries that get tons of views and they have a full team. I did not figure it out in 2024. What I did figure out in 2024 was how to make a kick-ass documentary. because certainly people did love them. I think I really did a good job. Let me know if you enjoy my documentaries. Um, but I did not figure out how to get views, how to make a documentary that got views, and I did not figure out how to be able to make my money back, so I'm not going broke by filming, basically. So yes, I shorts answer. I would love to make documentaries, but I'm taking a break from them this year to figure out how to um, find an alternate way to fund them, meaning making more money from short videos, interesting partnerships for short videos, and then or finding partnerships for documentaries, and then finding a way to fund them alternatively. West Coast Walker says, and you hit the nail on the head, West Coast Walker. He says, right now, a lot of YouTube views are with more political channels. You hit the nail on the head. This is not all the case, but a lot of content that has a political bent to it does get a lot more views. So, and then I'm not a fan of going to politics, and it could get very hairy, and it's not the most, in my opinion, politics can be a very big, massive distraction that's not very fruitful for learning about culture, urbanism, and history. Once you get politics involved in those topics, politics can really gobble up a lot of the attention, meaning that people won't actually learn about the culture. They'll just learn about why some people might hate the culture, why the culture is under fire, why there's gentrification, why did a certain political leader decide to invade another country and this country's culture is struggling. Suddenly it's no longer a cultural documentary. Very few people have been able to find the balance in this. Anthony Bourdain is one of the very few people who's been able to make compelling cultural documentaries, meaning his series, and yet involve some politics in it. But there's not many other examples. And I don't want to make documentaries like Anthony Bourdain. Um, that's why you see Rick Steves. He doesn't go into politics in his travel shows. Um, Samantha Brown, who makes great, compelling. A lot of BBC documentaries don't get too deep into politics, and for good reason, because you want people to learn about a country, you want people to learn about a city, you want people to learn about history. I want people to learn about the intersection of history and urbanism in the city, and that's why I don't get into politics. But they do get a lot of views, and it's a bit of a shame that they gobble up most of the attention on YouTube, or things are a bit more kind of adventurous. People just have an appetite for really foreign places that are not in their norm. So that's why a documentary series about coffee in New York probably did not do too well, because it's just people are just not intrigued by it initially. The moment you start pressing play, then I did notice people just loved the coffee documentary, um, because they did learn a lot of new things. But that's the challenge with YouTube. The video has to be compelling enough for people to even press play. And that was not the case with most of my documentaries last year. But hopefully, social media ebbs and flows. And I am not opposed to working with a cool company so they can fund me doing a documentary about interesting aspect of a place in the world. I'm not opposed to making having some great sponsors and partnerships and short videos, and then making that money to make more documentaries on the side, or getting hired by a Netflix production company to make a Netflix series. There's a lot of ways I will continue making documentaries. Nothing that I can see right now in the foreseeable future. Um, but that's the beauty. And then YouTube algorithm may change. Who knows? It has happened before. My videos weren't that popular in 2016 and 2017 when I was posting videos ab- about the same topics I do now on YouTube. I only started blowing up on YouTube in 2020 because people suddenly had an appetite to learn about New York. And then later on, I blew up with some of my Greece documentaries because people in Greece and the Greek diaspora all around the world really wanted to learn about Greece. Similar thing happened to me in Ireland. So sometimes the algorithm does change in a way that will be in my favor. Hopefully that will happen with my documentaries because I really, really love long form documentaries. I find like I can tell such fascinating stories in that format that I can't do the same on a live video or in the short video. So crossing fingers. I'm optimistic. I think something will happen. Honestly, I don't know what that is, but I know something will happen. I luckily won the Peabody Award. Uh, two out of the 6 episodes of the Athens Urbanist went viral. Um, An organization that I've worked with before just hit me up asking what would be the budget for a documentary. So something will happen. Let me know. Do you think something will happen? Do you think I will be able to make more kick-ass documentaries? Let me know. What's your prediction? Let me know. What's your top urbanist prediction? What do you think will happen to my channel, to my content? What do you think will happen soon, uh, in the near future? Louise says, "You're amazing. We love you." Oh, thank you so much. And for me, I feel included in a virtual vacation. Yes, I love the aspect of a virtual vacation. That's why I still like making live videos. I'm not making live videos too often in the past few months, but when I get a chance and the opportunity and the incentive to go out, it'll happen. I saw you using a DJI Pocket 3. Yes, I do one. It's amazing quality. Highly recommend it. It's a miracle camera. I'm live streaming right now from the DJI Pocket 3. It's great. And get yourself the DJI mic too, to use as a microphone. It's the best setup ever, in my opinion. Oh, it's almost as good for replacing a camera. I'm tempted to make documentaries using this camera because it's so damn good, actually. Somebody says for your documentaries, with streaming platforms, they may create a great income and long-term entrepreneurship. Yes, cooperating with stream platforms. Yes, that's something I would love to explore. Like posting my documentaries on Amazon Prime, uh, maybe in Netflix. Netflix is a bit more choosy. Amazon Prime is a bit easier, but yes, partnering up with a platform would be great, or with a big TV station. Nebu says the coffee documentary was fabulous. Yeah, thank you. Auntie says, I understand there's a budget concern. Thank you for explaining. Yeah, my pleasure. I'm glad I was able to explain. Auntie says, I think you align with my heritage well, that being Greek. A part of you has lived there in a past life. Yeah, out of all the countries I visit, uh, Greece is the one I blend in the most. I am fluent in Spanish. And when I go to Spain, they know I'm not Spanish. I have Spanish blood, and probably blood also from Portugal and the Canary Islands. But my heritage, when it comes to European heritage, is Spaniard. But for some reason in Spain, I do not fit in. I'm not sure why. But when I went to Greece, everyone thought I was Greek until I said a few more words. Then they realized I'm not. But they thought I was Greek. Or they thought I was a Greek American who did not know that much Greek. And I just fit in very well in that country. I was stunned. And when I told people I'm not Greek, they still welcomed me with open arms. They were like, "You're Greek in spirit," and they enjoyed having me around in many situations. It was easy to make friends in Greece. Auntie Maxine says, "Sounds like it manifested." Yes. Hey, Daryl says it's the 1 year anniversary of my mom's death. Hey, Daryl, I hope you're okay. I'm glad you're remembering your mom. Um, and wait, can you guys still hear me? Did I go mute? I think I went muted. Did I go mute out of nowhere? Can you still hear me? Now you might be hearing two voices. Okay, okay. Now I think you can hear me now. All right. Auntie says, "Are you Spanish?" No, I'm Puerto Rican. But most of my European ancestry is Spaniard. But I also have ancestry from other parts, like Taino Native American, which is the native peoples of Puerto Rico. I have ancestry, probably some ancestry from African, specifically Yoruba, from modern day Nigeria. And then I have ancestry from the Canary Islands and ancestry from probably North Africa. So I have ancestry from a few places, but when it comes to Europe, probably the majority of my ancestry is a good portion, not the majority, but probably a third of my ancestry is from Spain or the Canary Islands. Um, so that's why I say that I should fit into Spain, but for some reason, when I went to Spain, I stuck out like a sore thumb. All the Spaniards knew that I was not Spanish. Auntie Maxine says, "I did think you were Greek. Thanks for clearing that up." In your opinion, what's your top three pizzas in New York City? I covered that yesterday, DS. I went into detail. Right now, my top three list would be Lucia Pizza in Soho. Lucia, Lucia, Lucia. Number two would be Series, Seres in Nolita. Number three would be, I gotta think about that one. Number three would be L'Industrie, and that is in Williamsburg. That's my top three. Lucia, Series, L'Industrie. Top three pizzas. These are all New York City style. Hey, Murphy says, so no Italy? I already went to a lot of Italy last year. I was in Italy for a month. And then before I went to Italy for another month 2 years prior. So I've done a lot of Italy. I'm going to other places. Oleg, nice to see you here. Judy says, yeah, everything ebbs and flows. Can you make a micro documentary series? Yeah, I can. That might be more viable. So stay tuned. Maybe soon. Please show us your Peabody Award. Okay, so unfortunately, when it comes to the Peabodys, they only give one award per production. And our production was two people, Khalil Green and me, Ariel Vieira, because we were a duo. So they only gave one physical Peabody Award. Khalil being more prominent on camera, we decided, but I decided to, we decided that he should keep it. So he kept the physical award. So I don't have a physical award, but I am on the website. You can see that I won the Peabody. Go to the Peabody, I think peabody.com it is, and you can see the winners from last year. And I have photos of the name on the award and everything. But Kahlo was the one who kept the award. What country do you think has the best foods? Best food in the world? Um, Mind you, I've only been to North America and Europe so far. That said, I would say it's a really close tie between France and Italy. Really close. They both serve amazing food. They're culturally they're exceptional with their food. I prefer a little bit more Italy. And the reason for that is there's a lot more regional differences in Italy in food than in France. A little bit. There's still some unique foods in France per the region. There are actually a lot of regional foods in France, but Italy just to me has a little bit more of a extra kick to their foods. So Italy is number one when it comes to food. France is a close number two when it comes to food. Very close. They're almost tied, basically, in food. For me, outside of those two, which is probably going to be the answer for many people who travel around the world, especially if they go to Europe a lot, probably be those two foods. Well, aside from France and Italy, for some reason, I really love the food in Ireland. Ireland blew me away when it came to their food. I was there for a month and had so many amazing, memorable meals in Ireland. And a lot of great coffee, a lot of great pastries and desserts. I was blown away by Ireland. And Ireland usually does not have the reputation for being good at food. But something happened in Ireland the past 2 decades or so where food got really good. And aside from the food being interestingly made, there's such fresh ingredients. Everything is within the island. A lot of things: the butter, the milk, the cream, the meat. They're all really local. A lot of the veggies are local in Ireland. So Ireland really is exceptional in food, in my opinion. I really loved Ireland. And Ireland, unlike France and Italy, you can find a wide variety of foods from other countries as well. Not as wide as London or New York, but you can still find country food from India and food from Asian countries and Polish food. But yes, in my opinion, Ireland would be number three. Jen says, any pro tips for a beginner live streamer? Thank you so much for your insights. Excuse me. Any tips for a beginner live streamer on YouTube? Stream of things that you like. You have to love it. Especially on streaming. Streaming, you can't edit. You can't BS. It's hard to bullshit on the live stream. It's hard to act for too long on the live stream. So be sure whatever you're live streaming is a topic or a location or a type of style that you really enjoy. If that's knitting, then live stream knitting and talk about knitting. If that's gardening, go to different gardens. Talk about the gardens. If it's cities like me and history, walk around a historical area of a city, talk about the history. If it's gaming, sit down in your home, play the games that you want to play. It could be a lot of things. If you enjoy running, then figure out a way how to live stream a run. Biking, figure out a way to live stream a bike ride. But do something you really enjoy. Don't try to BS it. Don't try to bullshit it. If you see that there's a bunch of walking live streamers that are kicking ass, like my colleagues, New York City Walking Show, Action Kid, they're doing such great jobs. They get a bunch of views on their live streams, walking around, and you say, "Oh, I want to do that because I want to get views." But you don't like walking, you don't like the city, New York City, then don't do it because people are going to easily see that you don't actually enjoy it. So be sure you really enjoy what you want to live stream. Don't try to live stream something you think will be popular. And it might be tough. Finding the audience on a live stream might be tough. So the longer the better. You'll end up getting more views. And then consistency, at least in the beginning. I have the luxury that I have a big enough audience. I was live streaming for a long time that I can just hop on and get a few thousand views um, randomly. But that's not always the case with all live streamers. So on YouTube, it'll be tough. You just gotta be consistent and make sure the live streams are about an hour long or more. Don't go too short. If you go too short, if you go less than 30 minutes, it's not really worth live streaming. Unless if you're doing very tight scripted live streams about very helpful topics like advice, medical advice, or knitting advice, or painting advice, or how to garden something, that could work in the 30-minute format. But if you're not going to be scripted or highly organized in the live stream, which is the case for me, I don't like scripting my live streams, then go longer. Be conversational until you start getting that audience. But to make it easier on yourself, live streaming on YouTube, unless if you're doing walking, I'm not sure if there's other popular live streams. Walking pretty much is the bigger of the live streams. Maybe gaming? Let me know what are the bigger live streams on YouTube. But if it's not gaming or walking, you might be better off live streaming on TikTok because there's more of an audience there. So also don't be afraid of trying new platforms. There's a variety of different platforms. Right now it's YouTube, Twitch, Kick, which I haven't used, and TikTok to live stream. TikTok to me seems like the easiest place to get an audience in the beginning, but live streaming is very different on TikTok. Pythagorean says, I'm curious to pick your brain on a much broader subject. What are the main features that make content creators like you original and unique? It's twofold, Pythagorean, about uniqueness as a content creator. And this applies literally to any form of entertainment or art. It's your personality, the personality. The more unique the personality, basically, the more unique the content will appear. And then the second thing is technique or artistry in the technique, but technique overall, craftsmanship, how the video is made. And this applies to podcasts, this applies to photos, this applies to music, this applies to lectures, it applies to a lot of things, but it's the actual how the thing is made um, can be unique. I'm gonna stick to video because I know video, and then when it comes to content creators with any video, could be anything: short form video, long form video, live streams. Personality is number one. If you, especially if you're on camera, or if you're doing voiceover, your personality will stick out in small ways or in big ways. I have a unique way of speaking. I have a deep interest in the topics I talk about: history, urbanism, and architecture. Um, so it really, and culture really, really sticks out. You see my eyes lit up. I have I'm pretty extemporaneous, so I talk without notes or scripts, and I lean into my taste for that. So that's why my personality sticks out in a unique way. I have a unique set of experiences. I have tastes. You know, I am a fan of big cities. I like historical places. I like being able to take public transit. So I lean into my tastes, and they all lend to my personality. And I have a unique sense of humor. Like I have my sense of humor. I lean into my sense of humor as opposed to going away from it and doing a sense of humor that I think people will like. So that's what makes you unique, is doing something that's you, not something that you think people will like. And when it comes to craftsmanship, how you make the video, for me, it's the unique things part of the video. Like on short video, is my fast editing, it's my movement. I rarely have the camera still. Uh, I tend to show a lot of the space. So I tend to do a lot of pans of the space. I tend to do zoom ins. I tend to, when I speak on camera, I like a wider lens. I tend to gesticulate a lot. So a lot of those things all just commutatively make for a style that is unique. So there are a few content creators that try to replicate my style, but they never do either well or do it consistently, because it's hard. Because I just have leaned into all my unique quirks, all my unique tastes, and it's really difficult to replicate my style verbatim. Someone could try, but the moment you try to make them try something new, they'll struggle. So it's better to find your own unique style as a content creator, as opposed to trying to do what you think someone will think is popular, because that won't serve you in the long term. It might serve you in the short term. You may get a bunch of views. It might even go viral because you're copying a format that is already going viral, but it won't serve you in the long term, and it won't be satisfying deep inside, because that's what life is about. Life is not just about the views. Life is not just about the money. Life is not just about the recognition and the awards. Life is about enjoying life and about learning how to love, how to be more of a loving human being. It's a journey that all humans go through. It's no coincidence that this is talked about in every religion and spiritual belief system throughout all history, throughout the entire world. So when it comes to a career endeavor like making videos, you have to do something that will satisfy you on a deeper emotional and spiritual level. And if it doesn't, you will be left empty. It could be a few months from now, it could be a few years from now, it could even be a few decades from now. But the longer you do something that's not deeply fulfilling, the harder it will be. So stick to something that really speaks to you deep down inside. Don't try to bullshit your way through life, because if you bullshit your way through life, life will bullshit you back. Teresa says, why is the word content creator used for what you do? Content creator. I might be pronouncing it in a way where it kind of sounds like one word. Content creator, not consecrator. Consecrator uh, has like a negative connotation in Christianity, I think. You have to be a clever person to retain the info you talk about. Yes. It's easier to retain the info that you care about. Auntie Maxine says, for me, I think demonstrating your camera and video skills is important. Is important. A bigger part of the equation is the engagement and knowledge of the content you show. I like stories. Yes. Jared says, great advice. Being yourself is what people want to see. Yes. Virtual Travel says, yeah, that's why I can't stop traveling. Oh, yeah. I agree. Something with passion, it shows. Yes. If you do something with passion, it will show. Not everyone has a deep passion in their lives, but at least share what you like. Share what you like. If nothing really riles you up, if nothing is a fire inside of you, because sometimes people think the only thing that really matters in life is the fire. But sometimes it's okay. It's good to share what brings you calm and peace. It doesn't always have to be a fire. It could be a quiet breeze. But make sure you're sharing something you like. Passion sometimes can be a rather strong word. It could be a rather intimidating word because you're like, oh my God, but nothing really is giving me passion. Something will in life. I don't think I think no one's truly devoid of passion. But not everyone has been lucky to be born with a passion or to have a passion from a very young age. It happens. But if you share what you like, if you share what brings you calm and peace and a quiet joy, that will put you in the right direction. And that's why when I use examples of um, making content, people ask me this question: how do I make content? I use examples like knitting and like gardening. They might sound terribly mundane, but if deep down inside you really love a good knitting session, crocheting, don't think that's boring to people. It's boring to maybe 80% of people in the world. It might be boring to 90% of people in the world. This is a rule that I learned about through many books, one of them being Modern Romance by Aziz Ansari. Don't try to get 100% of the people in the world to love you, to really think you're the best person. It will be a futile effort because 90% of people will dislike you and or feel indifferent to you and to your tastes and to your likes and to your passion. A portion of those people will think you're utterly stupid, and even worse, they would think you're evil for liking something. It's happened to me. Don't try to impress the 90%, but do lean into the 10%. And what's 10% of the human population today? We got 7 billion or so people, nearly 8. 10%, if I recall correctly, is about 700 million people in the world. Even if you're in a city like New York, it's 8 million people. What's 10% of 8 million? Is it 80,000? 800,000? 800,000 people. On YouTube, there's a big amount of people. I think the YouTube has about 1 billion people on the site. That means you can still access, because you lean into the 10% of people who will like you for you, you will still have a potential of accessing up to 100,000 people, or a billion, sorry, 1 million people. You have a potential of accessing 1 million people. And to truly be successful in content creation, you don't need 1 million people to follow you. I right now have 1.6 in total. But on YouTube, I'm like at 450. On TikTok, I'm at 700K. So even I don't have 1 million people following me, but I've been very successful. So you don't need to impress the 90%. Lean into the 10%. And you will find people that like what you like. No matter how mundane you think it might be to the world, no matter how boring or stupid or silly or too heady and intellectual or too silly and uh, superfluous, don't listen to that chatter in your brain, or chatter from friends and family sometimes might be the case, or even your significant other. Don't listen to the naysayers. Lean into what you like. because it is a wonderful gift to share with the world what you like, even if that means you're knitting on live video. Oh, Pythagorean, thank you so much for clarifying. Sorry, I might got my math a little bit wrong, but 1% of 1 billion, which is about the amount of people on YouTube and other social media like Facebook, is 100 million. You have access to 100 million people. 100 million people are either going to love that you knit, going to love that you are the one knitting. They might not care for knitting, but they might find you hilarious, or they might find you interesting, or they might find you calming. There's people out there that, um, yeah, they just will love you, will enjoy what you do for any reason. 10% of people out there will just enjoy you for whatever reason, but they will enjoy you. So don't fret of trying to impress everyone. Don't chase the numbers. Don't chase viral gold, because the audience will come to you. As that movie said, I think, what was the name of the movie? Field of Dreams, I think it was called. If you build it, they will come. Build it. Deborah says, truly profound. Lean into the 10%. As that wisdom is a gift. That was deep. Great speak, says virtual. Hey, thank you so much. Hey, wait, let me see. Your soothing voice and personality kept me watching. You're positive and peaceful to listen to. Oh, I'm so glad you think so. Auntie Maxine says, what do you see the YouTube platform heading in the next few years? Do you see a major shift in YouTubers live streaming and the audience? I see, from my point of view, I don't know everything about YouTube. YouTube is, again, there's probably around 1 billion people using YouTube nowadays or have access to YouTube. And there's a lot of countries and a lot of different sides of YouTube. I don't know what the future of YouTube is. From my point of view, it seems like YouTube is not really promoting live video. Uh, but they are promoting short videos, and they're promoting, it seems now they're promoting longer form videos. They're promoting like like the videos that are between 20 minutes and 40 minutes. That seems to be the case for me. And now they're going to podcasts. So what would be the future? I don't know. Live video does not seem to be too fruitful on YouTube in the near future. I'm kind of saddened to say that. That may change. That may change. I think live video is still very fascinating medium, and that could be fruitful for commercial interests, and it could be fruitful for audiences, because what people love, there's a subset of people that just love watching a very long live video, whether it be a guy chatting at home, or a guy walking around part of the city, or a guy eating a hamburger on camera. Regardless, there's people who love live video, and I think YouTube and Facebook have kind of messed up in not paying attention to live video. So what's the future in YouTube? I don't know. I don't know. Um, but the one thing I do see YouTube really conquering in, I see YouTube potentially replacing Netflix. So I see YouTube being, in the very near future, the main source of long form entertainment for a big portion of people in the Western world. That being documentaries, that being movies. I have a feeling, especially with the rise of AI, that people will be producing very compelling short, uh, really compelling movies They might not be 2 hours long. They might be like 40 minutes long, but or TV series. I think people are just going to start producing really magical stuff, and YouTube will start replacing Netflix as the main source of long form entertainment. DS says, what are the biggest misconceptions many beginning YouTubers have? I mean, it's a long list. I basically just mentioned it right now. Uh, Another misconception is that it's too late, and I disagree. Uh, YouTube and other social media platforms are only growing. This is still fairly new medium, so actually this is just the right time. And the medium hasn't even fully matured yet, because movies have been around for 100 years at this point. TV series have been around for 80 years or so at this point, and those mediums have matured. Books have been around for 500 years, and they certainly matured in the past century. So there's still a lot of room for experimentation, for finding your footing without trying to fit into a box of how that form already operates, how that medium already operates, being online video. So I think that's the biggest misconception. It's too late. I think no. I think you still have a good 10 years, maybe 20, to try really anything and everything on these online video platforms and potentially find something that really works that people did not expect. I think that's very possible. Just like movies. Like movies, they thought that movies were pretty much figured out by the 1950s with these black and white movies. Mostly had a romantic plot line. They had some musical numbers. They all did the same shots and the same cinematography. But then the 1970s came and they turned it on its head. Filmmakers like Martin Scorsese were doing gritty films. Godard was breaking the conventions of editing. And George Lucas was producing a blockbuster at a fraction of a budget of a big major movie musical. So it is possible that this form of online video, this medium, and it's not just one monolith, it's short form video, being YouTube shorts and Instagram reels and TikToks. You have live streams and you have longer form video, that being vlogs, documentaries, um, tutorials. Still a lot of room for expansion and improvement. Naboo says, you're the one who got me back to live streaming. He told me when we met in France that you live in the area that people want to see. Yeah, yeah, just like me in New York. It is very nice. I think it is something to your advantage to be in the area that people want to see. When you started your YouTube channel, did you ever get discouraged? Many times. I get discouraged multiple times a year. I get discouraged multiple times a month. DS, great question. Yeah, it's just normal. It's just normal. You have to learn to not get down in a rut because of a challenge that pops up. And you have to realize that challenges are, if you struggle to meet a challenge, it doesn't mean that you're inadequate. It just means either A, you have to pivot, or B, just keep on going. And sometimes it's often both. So don't be afraid of pivoting. Don't be afraid of keep on making the same type of content. Even if people are not really watching, something might just hit. Don't be discouraged. So have I gone through experiences of being discouraged? Many times. Documentaries, as I just mentioned earlier in this podcast, live streaming, short videos have happened. I started making short videos in 2018. No one watched. But then in 2020, they started blowing up. Uh, I got so much really nasty comments in 2021, and I took a break from live video from short videos for months, and I got back and enjoyed it even more. A lot of challenges are going to happen. It's important to don't be afraid of being discouraged. It's a normal way of life. Life is work. Life is joy as well. Don't get distracted by the moments of discouragement because it's just another thing that passes by in life. It happens, it comes, and it goes. Don't worry too much about it. You'll find out that life has a way showing you the right path. So be sure to listen. Be sure to listen. Michael says, how is it that some YouTubers like yourself have more outreach than some local network channels? Yeah, it's just because more eyeballs, more people are on YouTube and Instagram and TikTok than they are watching certain TV channels. Reach changes from time to time in media. So sometimes people are just reading more, and that was the case in the. If I were to speculate, it was like the case in the 1920s and 30s, and then people started going to the movies more, and then movies were like, oh my god, people are starting to watch TV. We got to compete with TV. So it ebbs and flows. It ebbs and flows. Um, but it makes sense why more people are watching YouTube than they are many TV channels. It's because the content is more relatable. Someone mentioned earlier that politics is doing well on YouTube, and it's because people want to listen to someone that they can feel like they know. They want to hear someone a little bit more down to earth, maybe someone not dressed in the same suit and tie that you see in every TV station. They might want to hear someone with a more political nuance that's not limited to sound bites. So this is very clear in the world of politics on YouTube versus news media on TV, but it applies to everything else. You're not gonna find knitting videos on on TV. So that's why there's some knitting channels on YouTube. I don't follow knitting. I'm using that example because to me it's like one of the more extreme examples. But there's people out there who just love knitting and they will watch it in the hundreds of thousands of people. And it's because TV is not giving everything what people want. But that's just the nature of the medium. It's more expensive to produce good TV. It's also the nature of the industry. It's run by a few major studios. So due to the nature of TV, it cannot give what the people are looking for now. And what the people are looking for now is more relatable content, more real content, sometimes very much longer content. Like you see camping videos and those videos are like 2 hours, or mountain climbing videos. And they're like 2 hours because they go in depth. They show the full climb. They show the full setting up the tent. People are looking for that. And that's why sometimes they get more views. That might change too. There might be another form of media. It will happen. That's life. Uh, who knows? Maybe 360 VR video will come back in 30, 40 years and actually take our attentions away from YouTube. But YouTube is not going anywhere soon. TikTok might due to the political situation, but YouTube most likely won't. I foresee YouTube being one of the foundational locations for seeing online video for many decades from now. Facebook might not be. Instagram, maybe not. But I think YouTube is pretty much going to stick around. YouTube to me strikes me as like broadcast television. It will probably stick around for a long time. Reggie says, thank you so much for keeping me company. I've cleaned the entire house. Hey, man, that's great to hear. There's nothing good on TV. I watch YouTube and podcasts. As Charlene, yeah, me too. I haven't watched TV in years, aside from my appearance on News 12. I really don't watch TV. I would still love to work for TV because I think it's still people out there who love TV. So, Nah Dog says, I had a bad day at work. And it's like you're talking directly to me with that wisdom. Hey man, thank you. I'm glad I can share some wisdom. Happy to hear that. Oz girl, thank you so much for the $10 super chat. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yes, but the things that they could do. Wait, sorry. Louise says yes, but the things they could do then can't do, as the things they have changed so much in how we expect it to speak. Oh, Louise, I'm not entirely sure what you're referring to, but I think Louise might be referring to how people might be afraid to speak their truth. Yeah, of course, you gotta be smart. You gotta have certain level street smarts. You gotta have a certain level of social smarts. And you gotta also learn not to always speak your mind. I think a lot of people, don't misconstrue what I was talking about earlier as you gotta speak your mind all the time. Your mind can be a very chatty thing. And you gotta learn that you are not that voice in your head always bickering, always chatting, always talking. You are not that. So it's not always that conducive to always speak your mind. This is the problem with political media on YouTube, on news, on Instagram, on TikTok. Too many people are just chatting. Too many people are just like saying whatever they comes to mind at the moment. That is not too productive, I think. It's good to think about things. To put them on paper, to maybe write about them, to record a video and edit it. I think it's very powerful to get your thoughts and your opinions organized, either by contemplation, meditation, writing, recording and editing, chatting, but get them organized. Because if you are making media, just always speaking your whatever comes to your mouth first, you might get in sticky situations. And yeah, it might get a lot of views, but it might not be too deeply fulfilling in the long term. So it's important to think before you speak. Also, listen. Everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. This was Reggie says, I love that this video is so lengthy and long. I can rewatch it over and over again. Hey man, that means a lot. Thank you so much. We watch more YouTube than Netflix, says Sally. Yes, me too. I find myself watching Netflix less and less. The quality is going down in Netflix very rapidly. It kind of sucks. And I find myself watching more YouTube. Auntie Maxine says the algorithm of this website changes rapidly. It does. It's a bit hard on the content creators end. Content creator, not consecrator. Content creators end. Someone who makes videos. It's sometimes a bit daunting, but just like rough waves in the sea, you gotta stay the course. And seas do get rough when it comes to YouTube algorithms and algorithms from other websites. You got to stay the course, stay true to yourself. The seas will be in your favor at some point. You will reach calm seas at some point. The current will be in your favor. The wind will blow in the right direction at some point. So don't fret. I tend to watch people and I enjoy topics that I enjoy, but so far really fascinating content. It's so for me. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. There's a lot of content out there. It's tough to find the gems. Everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. This has been a long talk. I'm not sure how. Oh, I've been going on for 2.5 hours. But I'll be back for more videos. I still post a lot of short videos multiple times a week. They are pretty in depth, even though they're 3 minutes long. You learn a lot of history. So come on board, watch my short videos. Go on patreon.com/urbanist to get access to my longer cuts of these tours right here, patreon.com/urbanist, or click the join button on YouTube and you can watch the Ford Archives. It's coming up next week, the full cut. And there's much other content to enjoy. I'll be traveling again at some point in at least in the early summer, maybe a little bit earlier. So stay tuned, everyone. Keep being awesome and always keep on exploring. Oh, yes. And stay curious, my friends. Have a good day.